Welcome back to Man Across New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today? And I can tell you, here in the UK, at the peak of our, I suppose, our heat wave thus far, it is incredibly hot. Well, I shouldn't say incredibly. Again, the precautions have been taken to try and make things not as hot as they usually would be. I don't have a fan set up in my room or something, but because I don't feel like I need it actually. Again, the windows have remained closed for, well, not completely closed this time. I decided to sacrifice a little bit of heat to actually have a small crack in my curtains, so you know I'm not actually just sitting here very sort of spookily in the dark. It's not spooky, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't really feel right, I suppose. Hello there everyone, right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:26 PM on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. And just to clarify, if you don't know, it's because I have very sort of like, they're not completely blackout curtains, but they're quite thick curtains. It's quite difficult to see the light through them. So it's incredibly dark, and well, no, we're complete like. Everything behind me, I suppose, is now like not completely bathed in darkness, but you know, incredibly dark as well, and like in the shadow. And here I am, with only my computer screens and a tiny sliver of light to light things up. But anyway, today does feel noticeably warmer than yesterday, is what I'd say. The temperatures are going absolutely crazy in the UK because it's something like. It's like in Heathrow Airport or something. It was like 40 degrees Celsius or something, which is insane. I think in Fahrenheit that's about 100 and something Fahrenheit, and I don't really know off the top of my head. But it's pretty hot. I mean, it's certainly worse if you live in central London, I imagine. If you live anywhere near the Walkie Talkie. I don't know if you you might not know about this if you don't like live in the UK or live near London or anything like that. But there's a building in the UK called the Walkie Talkie building. I don't really know what it's home to. I always assumed it was just home to a load of like banks and businesses who have offices in there or whatever. But it's a giant shaped building. Like London's not really any stranger to any weird shaped buildings. I mean, we've got like the Gherkin and other things which I can't think of off the top of my head. But Walkie Talkie is quite a notable one because it's one which is apparently one of the worst designed like buildings architecturally or something in London, and it's quite a modern one as well. Like I think it was built in my lifetime. Don't quote me on that. I'm not actually sure if that's true. Hold on, let's see. Walkie Talkie London. Walkie Talkie London. Let's see. Sky Garden, 20 Fenchurch Street. If you want to know. When was this built? Ownership. Previous building was in 1968. And then demolition was in 2008, and it was constructed on bottom up. I was going to say, because I don't remember it being in London when I was much younger, but anyway, still. And I don't mean from like an aesthetics standpoint necessarily, that if a walkie-talkie is badly designed. I don't really know about architecture, aesthetics, and that sort of thing. I think walkie-talkie buildings fine. It's like, I look at it and it's like, it's a bit weird, but it's not like... I'm not going to say it's particularly egregious or anything. It's just a building, kind of more or less, with a little bit of like curviness to it. But it's called a walkie-talkie, I guess, because it kind of looks like a walkie-talkie in some sort of vague sense, and that fact a walkie-talkie is also kind of a cuboid shape. But anyway, the biggest problem with the walkie-talkie is the effect it has on like the surrounding parts around London, because the way it's curved, it basically sort of acts like is it a concave or convex mirror? I forget which one. Whichever one sort of concentrates things onto a point, you know, like a satellite dish. It basically is a giant satellite dish for light. Because, of course, all the windows are very reflective and that sort of thing. And it's sort of curved downwards. It's got a focal point, like, basically right in front of it, in the middle of a street. Not in the middle of a street, but, like, some part along the street. And it absolutely cooks things down there. Like, literally cooks things down there. Like, or even on, like, a reasonably hot day. I can't remember, like, when we did this news report. Like, I think it was some summer day, which probably was around 30 degrees Celsius or something, at most, is my guess. That spot, it was like someone left a bag out, and they read the temperature of a bag, and the bag was like 62 degrees Celsius, which is something like 150 Fahrenheit. I'm not sure if that's quite right. Hold on. Let's see how good my mental sort of maths is with what the heck? Oh, I just opened GitHub. That's not what I meant. Celsius to Fahrenheit. No, get out of here, GitHub. 143 degrees Fahrenheit on that spot. And then, you know, people were like cooking things on the street, which is not the most uncommon occurrence, certainly in like other countries. Like, it's a thing I always hear about in like Arizona and in America, is that like people like cook eggs or something on the pavement, or like you could, and someone did. But yeah, it basically was a huge magnifying glass, or not really a magnifying glass, a concave amplifier of heat, which just absolutely melted everything like in its path. And also because of the way it's designed, I don't know much about the details of this one, like architecturally or mechanically, but it causes like huge wind currents just like all around the area, which is not something which happens quite a lot in big cities, you know, because of the way that the buildings are like sort of like they channel basically the wind currents through them by like sort of forcing the wind through a smaller area, so the pressure increases. Well, actually, I'm not sure if that's necessarily how it works, but that's kind of how I assumed it works. But basically, because of that, for some reason, that happens with a Walkie Talkie as well. That like it traps currents down there, which just like causes like really strong winds for just seemingly no apparent reason. So people don't really like it. But anyway, I don't know if the wind current problem was solved, but I know back in 2014, 2015 or so, the heat problem was solved a little bit by the fact that like constructing some awnings around some of the higher floors to, you know, prevent the reflective property, you know, cooking everything in its path. But it's sort of like that's a surprising thing to me that that even happened from like an architectural standpoint. You would have thought like, I heard a flea. You can't hide from me, flea. I don't mean that character from Muchos Libre or whatever name was, I forgot. It's astonishing that sort of thing could even be created, and like that sort of problem was not like found before it even happened. You would have thought of an architect, that's like one of a few things you might, not one of a few things, okay, let's not be that reductive. It's one of the things you would pay attention to as an architect, being like, this is something you got to consider. It's like the literal geometry, I suppose, of whatever building you're constructing. You know, it can be wild and it can be eccentric, and you know, you can make things look interesting, but at the same time, you know, you got to make sure it's actually, you know, suitable, well, I suppose, for a city, rather than something which is going to cause absolute havoc. But hey ho, what do I know? Anyway, so it's rather hot today, so if you are also in a place experiencing a heat wave, I would recommend you drink a lot of water. And I'm actually running out of water, so after this I'll go get some more, certainly. Also, this water's not so cold. I might have an ice cream, I don't know. I so rarely have ice creams or ice lollies, like things like that, but you know, this sort of weather is definitely the perfect time to have one. I don't really know, as I had to certainly decide for myself at some point. Yeah, but that's certainly something I'm curious how well that works, you know, cooking things out on like pavements, etc., etc. Because pavements obviously get incredibly hot. I don't know necessarily why. I guess the specific heat capacity is quite high. No, it's not to do with specific heat capacity. It's probably to do with conduction, right? How well they conduct thermal energy or something. They probably conduct thermal energy incredibly poorly, right? Yeah, so that means they retain the heat for a very long time. Wait, I forget how it works. Which way round is it? It's if you conduct heat poorly, it means you take a lot of energy to heat things up. No, wait, what? Because I'm trying to think about it. Hold on. Because metal is a very good conductor of heat, right? So it heats up very quickly and then it retains it. That doesn't necessarily retain the heat. What? Maybe that's a different property? I don't remember. Thermodynamics has completely escaped me now, I'm going to be honest. It is pretty hot right now. But anyway, pavements get super hot, or sidewalks if you're American, that sort of thing. So I've seen people like just like put foil down, or even just like use a pavement itself and just like crack an egg onto it and it just like sort of like cooks. I wonder how hot it is and those sort of things when that happens, because it's not something which happens particularly often in UK. I want to see if people do that. Hold on. UK heat wave, cooking, pavement. Have people done it? What temperature do roads start to melt in the UK? 50 degrees Celsius. Not there yet. Is it hot enough to cook an egg on the pavement? Or an excellent way to cook during the UK heat wave. Hold on. Yahoo News. Don't fail me now. Looks like this person has cracked. Hold on, I'm watching it. They have just cracked a raw egg onto the pavement. Is it working? It's sort of cooking very, very slowly. It's not the most appetizing. Oh god, don't listen to that. Not the most appetizing egg. I must certainly say it looks kind of gross, if anything. But I suppose if it works, it works. Oh my god. You know what the craziest thing is? This video was taken in 2019. It wasn't even this year. That was 3 years ago. Roads in the UK are so hot right now, people's shoes are melting and sticking to them. My word. Certainly not a good idea to go outside right now. UK is hot, but is it hot enough to cook an egg on a pavement? Okay, I'm going to stop like reading this, random clickbaity news articles which pop up just because they sort of optimize their search engine optimization. The SEO, as the cool kids like to call it. But honestly, it does sound like kind of like it's a sort of thing, For one, I feel like I'm really curious to try it because it's something I've seen in cartoons, It's like, how do, people who make cartoons, how do I demonstrate it's such a hot day? You got to have like, obviously people sweating, you got to have the sun blaring down, you got to have that like filter, you got to have that weird sort of miragey haze over everything, which makes things feel a bit like blurry and unclear. You can have like someone try and drink a sip of water, but then all the water evaporates before they can actually drink it. You got to get someone to like bring out an umbrella and like sit down in the shade and then like have the entire umbrella like burn up because it's so hot. And another thing, like someone just cracks an egg and cooks a meal on the pavement. I wouldn't recommend, of course, cooking something on the pavement. The pavement is a rather dirty surface. If you really want to, I suppose, at least put some foil down on the ground and do something that way. Or, and better yet, just like cook it on the stove. I suppose isn't that a thing you can do when you're camping? You can bring out, a mini version of the London Walkie Talkie, I suppose. You can bring out your own sort of like convex mirror. And people use that to like boil teapots or kettles or whatever, you have like this convex mirror. Is it convex or concave mirror? Hold on, I'm going to Google this so I can actually figure out which one it is. I think it's concave because that focuses on one point, right? But convex mirror is a phrase, isn't it? Concave curves inwards, convex curves outwards, right? Concave mirror. Yeah, okay. Concave mirror is the one which has a focal point. But as a thing, like, what do they call it? Like, concave camp stove or whatever. Concave mirror stove? Yeah, it's like a cooking thing. I can't remember where on earth I've seen it, but you put it down, it's like this big, like, aluminium. No, I don't know if it's aluminium actually, but I've always assumed it's big like metal dome. I mean, you can put like the kettle or whatever you have in the middle to like heat it up, and like it uses the sun's like light rays all concentrated on one point to boil things, which I always thought was kind of cool. But the more I think about it, that seems rather impractical. For one, it's going to cook literally everything at that point, so you'd also have to bring, I suppose, like oven gloves to make sure that you don't like touch it and like absolutely burn yourself. And two, it doesn't really work unless it's particularly sunny. And three, I'd also imagine it's quite big, isn't it? There's not a huge... It's quite big for what ends up being quite a small amount of what you can actually end up cooking in the first place. There's no control over things in the first place either. So, if you're not too careful, maybe you actually start a fire, depending on if you put something accidentally there. But in theory, it's kind of cool, I suppose. Concentrated focal points of, heating stuff up, use nature, I suppose, to your advantage. Makes me wonder, actually, because magnifying glasses, they're convex, aren't they? Yeah, because both sides of the lenses are convex. How does that work? Focal point wise. Oh, I guess because it's not a mirror, it's not reflective, it's refractive, isn't it? So that's why they're convex. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. At least logically in my mind. I don't know if it actually does make sense or not, because it's from Chef, who we recently did a Paradise Planning customization for, with so many things in our inventory. We should probably sell them. Also, I forgot to stash away the hammerhead shark and the ocean sunfish. Oh well. We'll do that next time we hop on over to Arby's Island. So I don't know, what else is happening in this extreme heat? I don't know, I was just watching the news while I was eating lunch, and it was just like, record-breaking heats all over the shop, which is, kind of, I suppose, to be expected, with the whole situation at hand, it being like ungodly hot. So I hope you lot out there are not you're keeping well, is basically the long and short of it. Well, honestly, whether you're experiencing a heat wave or not, to be perfectly honest, and keep well in general, I think would be a nice thing to happen. Fruit Brewster, customized water plants. It's also kind of like, I'm not going to say strange to see, but it's almost a bit sad to see, I suppose, because I was looking out like over the street. It's quite common, at least in not in like massive cities, but like in residential areas, that the pavements we have like patches, like strips of grass along them. So I was basically like, not like having patches of grass on the pavement. It's more like you run a pavement like through a strip of grass, I suppose, on the side. But all the grass outside is dead, the grass in my garden completely dead. It's all like dried up and yellow, you know, as you'd expect. To be fair, there wasn't much grass in the garden because my garden doesn't really get much sunlight in the first place, but it's all completely dead. But looking over to the neighbours' gardens, all completely like, mostly dead as well. Actually, let's see how well the neighbours are keeping their grass alive. Oh, their grass actually looks pretty good. Their grass over there is completely yellow. Okay. Just judging my neighbours. Haven't opened my window for a couple of days, so I don't really know what the situation is going on. Like, one of my neighbours done a fantastic job. Their grass is green and luscious and surviving in this heat. It's thriving, one might say. But in another neighbour's, all the grass is like completely yellow and dried up. And I looked out like at the front and like the street as well. It's completely yellow. And what's even crazy is like there's this really big like open grassy area near where I live. It's kind of a park, but it's not a park. It's more like an open grassland, I would say, near where I live. And it's actually, well, it's basically kind of like a giant field. And I had to go through it every day to go to school when I was younger. But like I went there recently. Not even, it was only like a couple of weeks ago. I feel like I walked over there. It's completely like dead. It was completely dead, and the heat wave hadn't even like completely started yet, which is, you know, kind of because it's a publicly owned space which is sort of like left to nature most of the time. Like, people aren't looking after it, like, and watering it or whatever. It's just kind of sad, isn't it, to see? Kind of depressing in certain aspects. I don't really know what else to make of it. It's sort of just like you hate to see it. Hopefully all of you gardeners out there, you know, have are looking after your plantations. It's not really the right word. Your plants rather well, and that sort of thing. And yeah, I don't know, it's just hot. I don't know what else to talk about, but because there's obviously the biggest news which has happened in recent times to, well, at least me. So this is probably the most engaging thing to actually probably talk about. But it's a bit boring to talk about like hot weather twice in a row, so I'm trying to think of more interesting things. I guess I could talk about like my times in like China and Japan of when I've experienced hot weather. Trying to think about it. I don't really remember all too well. But I'm not really much of a fan of hot weather, I suppose, in general. I don't like, you know, being all sweaty and things like that, feeling like sticky. It's another thing as well, because actually I don't know how humid China is, but I feel like China's reasonably humid. Let's see. China humidity. But UK is actually quite a humid. Oh, China's also very humid. Actually, what about Arizona humidity? China's super humid, and, you know, UK is reasonably humid, I would say. I mean, we do get a lot of rain. That should probably be one of the highest indicators. And humidity is terrible. Heat itself is okay. I'd say it's uncomfortable, you know. But I would not be like, I feel like I'm dying or whatever. But humidity is what makes it absolutely awful. Just like the sweat sort of like building up in your skin and all that sort of thing, and it doesn't evaporate because, you know, there's too much already moisture in the air already. Atrocious. And I can't imagine there's like anyone who likes that sort of sensation. Oh, okay, let's not go that far. There probably are people who like that sensation, but I can't imagine many people like that sensation. And, you know, if you don't like it, you're not alone. But the best thing about it, like one of the best times, like not the best times, but most notable weather situations, are when I went to China, staying with my maternal side grandparents, I believe, and it just like, it was incredibly hot throughout most of the days, but then, you know, for like a week or so it just started raining like quite consistently. Not like, sometimes it was just like a light, like sort of like pitter patter, but then often there was like huge downpours as well, you know. And it was some most refreshing rain, I think. Like, even if I was inside with the AC on, I often just like sat by a window or sat like on my balcony, just like listening to rain, just like reaching out to it, and it felt so refreshing because it wasn't like hot and humid and sticky rain. It was cool, refreshing, wash away all the pains of yesterday sort of rain. It was unbelievable. And, you know, maybe the hot weather, the hot, sticky, sweaty weather is worth sort of sticking out just to get that cool, refreshing rain. I say maybe. It's not really. I'm gonna be honest. You know, I would trade ridiculously hot weather, I suppose, for no, hold on, the sacrifice of that cool, refreshing rain for ridiculously hot weather as well. You know, but if both can go, so be it. I certainly wouldn't mind if it was just sort of like temperate weather throughout most of the days. But yeah, I don't know. I just remember that it's a very sort of comfy feeling, you know. Of course, being inside while it's raining. I have often spoken to it ad nauseum about how much I like the sound of rain, and I find it very relaxing. I suppose that sort of association carries over to the fact that it makes me quite like rain rather than, you know, sort of like admonishing it like a lot of other people do, which is, you know, certainly understandable why you wouldn't admonish it. It's rather inconvenient in a lot of cases, and certainly has been inconvenient for me. But in times where, you know, it's not like a paramount importance that I stay completely dry, I quite like it. I quite find it refreshing. Things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just have like a very good memory of it because it cooled everything down for one, but it also felt so refreshing and relaxing at the same time. It really felt like sort of like a respite a respite. Sorry, not respite. A respite in the middle of just like the overwhelming heat. Japan was also incredibly hot last time I went to it. I don't know how humid Japan is. I'm going to guess it's also probably around the same sort of humidity as China. Tokyo, humidity. Oh, 92%, my word. But to be fair, it's also 26 degrees and cloudy. So it seems Japan is rather humid as well. I didn't mean to do this, I meant to customise. But those days were pretty hot as well. Oh, that actually also happened. If you don't know, I went to Japan and South Korea in that one holiday. Like, now think about it, it's been like 5 years now or something. I can't believe that was 5 years ago. That's crazy. But it was incredibly hot in Korea. Like the first day we went, and then I remember we visited some sort of some temple. I can't remember. It's a very big one in Seoul. You'll probably know if you look up like sort of like landmark destinations to tour through in South Korea. And then I was and then me and my friend, it was unbelievably hot. And then we were just like at the final area. It was like the sort of like garden area, and we were sort of just like vibing out. And then like, you know, already it was getting kind of cloudy and it was sort of like pitter-pattering a little bit, and then it just started having like an incredibly heavy downpour, and we just sort of sat there like watching the garden while it downpoured, and it was like, this is super relaxing. And yeah, I think we got an umbrella at some point. I don't really remember off the top of my head. I purchased an umbrella. Was it from South Korea? It might have been from South Korea. I got way overcharged from it. I remember it was incredibly expensive because I bought it from a street vendor. It was not a street vendor, but they were like outside a shopping mall. But I bought it because it's so super cute, and I've used it every single time, and I absolutely adore it. So I don't mind the fact it costs like £20-30 or something, I think. And I remember she told me the price, and I even laughed, and went like, that is ridiculous. But you know, I'm also a tourist, so you know, I'm gonna buy it anyway, I suppose. It's super cute. It's just like navy blue umbrella with like little deers and butterflies on it. Maybe I can actually find what it looks like, and maybe I'll regret how much I paid for it. Deer butterfly umbrella. But you know me, like there's no way I would have actually bought that umbrella for myself if I saw it like on sale here in the UK. But on holiday, you know, it's a whole different story. I saw it and I was like, I like it. It's not a lace umbrella, it's an actual practical umbrella, I'll certainly say. Looking at all of these, which are like quite lacy. Not that I have anything against a lacy umbrella, you know, if I want to look like a Southern belle, I do say. This weather is quite something special, isn't it? Blue deer umbrella. Umbrella spices? What on earth? I've actually find it that would be insane. These are like Redbubble sort of umbrellas where they just took someone else's artwork and just like imprinted it on an umbrella. Oh, it's not that one. Okay, I thought that was it for a second. I was like, it looks very similar to this one. But no, it's more like minimalist, which is why it appeals to me so much. I quite like symbolic and minimalist designs rather than very sort of like ornate and intricate OTT ones. Everyone's got very different preferences. Maybe I should get like a parasol or something. I mean, I used that umbrella as a parasol for a while. I remember in Japan as well, because it got so sunny, and you know, even just having a little bit of mobile shade following you around is quite refreshing in its own right. But yeah, hopefully I don't know if we're actually due for any rain. Sorry, you know, unplug my phone. Let us see if we're actually due for any rain here in the UK. Whoa. Smoke? What on earth? I've never seen this before. But the weather report just says, instead of saying like sunny or cloudy or whatever, it says smoke. Is it smoky outside? I mean, I wouldn't say it's smoky. What does this mean? There's also thunderstorms. Oh, there's actually thunderstorms later tonight. 70% chance of rain past 9 PM. Scattered showers tomorrow. What the heck does this mean? It's also 38 degrees Celsius right now. So, you know, I guess we're slightly better off than some people have had it at 40. It was 39 about like a couple of hours ago. Google weather smoke. The smoke symbol on your iPhone means the weather is foggy due to the high amount of smoke in the air. Oh. I mean, maybe, I don't know if it's sort of like a cognitive bias. Maybe it does look a little bit smoky. I've heard there's like wildfires in Japan, not Japan, sorry, or maybe in Japan, but probably not looking at the Tokyo weather report, and in France and Spain, which, you know, certainly seems dire. It's very disheartening to look at, but, you know, I suppose if I sort of sit here and wallow in my own despair, then I'm going to succumb to quite sad, overwhelmingly sad thoughts, which is not what I'm all here about. I can't believe smoke is probably a misspelling of a word smog. Smoke and fog. That's Gilbert Gottfried. I don't. That's from some random, like, a game show which I randomly remember. Friday is 70% chance of showers. Luckily, the weather is much more manageable. Like, the predictions I'm looking over for next week, you know, like 27, 26, 23, 27, 29, 27, 24, 25, 24. Positively fine. I don't think I'm going to complain about the weather being 25 or 27 degrees ever again. Now I've got a taste of 40 degrees Celsius, and I do not want to ever have it to experience again. But maybe that's what the future holds. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to call this episode. Concave. Is it a concave mirror? Concave mirror kettle. It's something like that. Concave mirror oven? Giant parabolic mirror. Parabolic mirror solar stove. Oh, there we go. We've got solar stoves. Solar ovens. There you go. But basically a giant satellite dish. Anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here because I'm hot and I need to get more water. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me in Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.